Mhm. Okay, so first of all, like suppose here we are creating multiple data set, right? But ideally, for one source, for one source, you need like one data set kind of, and then you can manage with that, right? You don't need to create multiple data set for one source, right? So suppose it sometimes happens that I am working in this data factory, and when you join an organization, you will see 1000 data set, though they are dealing with only two source, right? So 1000 data set is not needed. So what you can do, you can create a parameterized data set, and then that data set can be used across the pipeline. Okay. So instead of hard coding your data set, you can basically parameterize your data set so that you don't like you can use the same data set across the pipeline instead of creating the data set every time, right? So today we will learn that how to parameterize the data set, because that is a best practice. Okay, so you generally create a parameterized data set. You don't create a you don't put a hard coded value over there, right? So how to do it? So I will go to the pipeline and I will create a parameterized pipeline now, parameterized data set by using parameterized data set, right? I'll put copy data activity here, and here in the source, choosing data lake, CSV file, data lake source. Okay. Here I'm not giving anything. Okay. Generally I select from here, give anything, something here, right? So I'm not giving anything here. Okay. Because this, I will try to parameterize. So what are the three parameters I need? This. Okay. So file system, container name, directory name, file name. I will try to parameterize it so that I can pass any value here and it should work. Okay. So I will learn how to parameterize it. Okay. So I'm not passing anything here. We will try to parameterize it. Then I will go to sync. Suppose this time I will choose SQL. Okay, SQL database. Or I can give it as SQL dataset, right? For example, I will give it as a general name SQL dataset. And this also I will try to parameterize schema name, table name, two parameters. Okay. And then this I will give it as data lake dataset, for example. Data lake dataset and SQL dataset. Okay, parameterized pipeline. Now one more thing to notice. Okay, so if I click over here, it is a pipeline parameter. If I click over here, so if I click over here, these are the pipeline setting, pipeline variable, pipeline setting, pipeline output, pipeline parameter. If I click over here, these are all the settings related to here are the data set or the activity setting. Okay. If I click over here, this is the data set setting. Okay, so these are the two data set we have made. This is the one data set, this is the second data set. This for the data lake, this for the SQL. Now we need to parameterize the data set. So we need to create a parameter in the data set. We need to parameterize this data set. So we need to create a parameter in this data set, right? Simple. So here, if I come to this window, I am able to look at parameters. I will click over here. Here I will click on parameters, right? Now how many parameters I need in data lake? How many parameters I need? I need container, directory, file name, right? By using three parameter, I can locate to any file. That is why I need three parameters: container, directory, file name. Here also, I need two parameters. Why two parameters? By mentioning two parameter, I can locate any file, schema, table name, right? So I will create two parameters here, three parameters here, two parameters here, right? Let's create three parameters. Container, directory, file name. Here I will create two parameters. What are those? SQL schema, SQL table name, right? Here I am giving it as container directory file name. You can give it as LMN, Abhishek, Sakshi or Ashwin, anything we can give, right? So what I mean by we can give anything, okay? We should know what does it mean, simple, right? But we can give anything. It's not like we need to write like this. It's not like that, right? Now, once we create this parameter, we need to pass this parameter as well. We need to create, once we create this parameter, we need to pass the parameter as well here, right? So let's pass this parameter. Here I will pass container name. We don't need to remember anything. You just click here, add dynamic content, container name, simple. Go here, add dynamic content, click here, simple. Go here, add dynamic content, click here, simple. Come here, we created two parameter, let's pass it here. Click over here, add dynamic content, click here. Go over here, click here, simple, right? Once we do that, we can see these values here, source container, right? So it's here they are asking data set property. These are the data set which you have created. These are the data set which you have created, right? Now I can pass any value here, right? Suppose if I go to storage account, if I go over here, input container, folder name, department1.csv, right? So input container, folder name, department1 CSV. And in the sync, I want to suppose I want to DBO schema. Table name should be department 1. Department suppose Z, right? And I will do auto create because I'm creating it for first time. Debug. Done. Similarly, now if you want to pass something else, right, in the source, suppose I want to not locate this file, I want to locate this file. Okay, department.csv. Then here you should pass folder slash folder 2. Okay, folder 2. And then here you will mention department.csv, right? You can run this now. What I mean by that is you can run it for any file once you parameterize your data set. Okay, done. Now suppose if I want to run it as input and department1 CSV, no folder, right? So here I can go input department1 CSV only, no value here. Yeah, so here, one second. If I don't pass any value, it should work. I think so. I'm just trying something. One second. If it works, then I will explain. Okay, fine. So it's not working like this, but I have another suggestion through which it can work, right? So here, now this is understood, right? Now this particular example. So Like generally we don't give the value here, right? We don't give the value here. What we generally do, we'll not give the value here directly. What we will do, so suppose whenever I debug this pipeline, I don't want like this. Okay, I want to pass it from the pipeline parameter. So here I will create parameter. These are the dataset parameter, right? Once you create the dataset parameter, you can see it in the activity, and you need to pass it from the pipeline parameter. So here I will create 5 parameter, container, directory, file name, SQL schema, SQL table name, and all of the value I will pass here, right? So I will say container, directory, file name. So this is now coming from pipeline parameter. You can see pipeline parameter. Okay. When you passed here, you can see dataset container from the dataset parameter, pipeline parameter. Okay. Now similarly, you'll go here. You can say schema table name. Right. Simple. All the values we have mentioned, we'll go to the parameter and then we'll give the parameter input department1 dot star CSV. I will not give value over there. DBO dot department. Okay, working fine. So this is how you can parameterize the pipeline. Okay, so once you pass the value here, if you want to run this, right? If you will run this, suppose if you don't pass any value here, right? And then if you run this, then it will ask you a value every time you run. So we generally pass the parameter from the pipeline only. We don't pass it like in the data set, though you can do it, but here from here it is a proper method how it should be done. Any doubt till here, guys?
No.
Okay, fine. Now I will extend this, right? Now suppose we learned how to parameterize the copy data activity, okay, that we learned. Now, so suppose what is happening right now, this value, whatever value give here, it will come here, and from here it will go here, right? So this is how it runs, right? Now, suppose I want to run this copy data activity 3 times, okay? So if I want to run this copy data activity 3 times, either I will paste this copy data activity 3 times for different file, or I will pass this value 3 times differently, right? So these are the two things I can do. Either I will paste copy data activity for 3 times, or I will pass the value 3 times differently. Now for 3 files is it manageable. Okay, I can paste this copy data activity 3 times and manage it. But suppose if I have 120 file, then you cannot paste copy data activity 120 times, right? So you need to learn the method of passing the variable 120 times differently. For that we use for each loop. What this for each loop will do, for each loop will basically pass this variable 3 times differently every time, right? And how to do it? Okay, so for that we need to create a metadata first. Metadata, okay, that we need to create first, and we'll understand how to create the metadata now. 1 second. So this is the metadata which I have created. I will copy this, paste it over here. Okay, input file name, input container name, input directory, and then output schema, output directory. For so now you can see this metadata as 3 array for 3 different file. Okay, one array is for one file, second array is for second file, third array is for third file, right? Now what I want to do, I will make the metadata for that now, right? So here if I go to input container, if I go to input container, I suppose want to take now suppose in the input container, if I only want to move department file, then I know it can be done using wildcard, right? Data lake to data lake. But if I here I'm moving from data lake to SQL, for that I need to create a metadata, like how to create a metadata, that we are learning right now. Okay, so suppose I want to pick up one file from here, like input. Uh, Suppose I want to pick up input, and then I want to pick up folder, and inside the folder I want to pick up department 1 and department 2, right? This is the file I want to pick in. And from folder 2, suppose there is nothing in the folder 2, let's go to some other folder, another folder. I will put some file here, or let's make it simple. Okay, so here I will give one folder. Okay, folder 3. Suppose folder 2 files from here, and folder 3, or in folder 2 I will put one file. Okay, so input container, input container, and then files are, what are the files I am picking? I will just name that from folder department 1, department 2, from folder department 1, department 2. And also this particular metadata looks messy. Like I understand you might be thinking that Abhishek, you are doing it for 3 files. How I will do it for 100 file, right? So I will teach you a better way of doing it. That also I will teach you. But for now, let's look how to do it in this way, okay? Because this is also important so that you can understand the working mechanism behind it, okay? So folder, and also this also folder. And if I open this, inside folder 2, I have sample data.csv. Inside folder 2, I have sample data.csv, right? And in folder I have department1.csv, department1.csv. Here I have department2.csv. Okay, and in folder 2 I have sample data.csv, right? In folder 2 I have sample data.csv, so it looks fine, right? So yeah, so now I will give this as output table name, because I'm moving to SQL table, output table. So I will give it as output table. Okay, 1 second. Let me copy to Notepad++. That is better. Do I have Notepad++? No, I don't have things. So I have it. Okay, fine. So output table, let's copy to output table only. And suppose here I am giving table name as XYZ, for example, right? I don't care about it right now. So I will give XYZ. And schema, output schema, I will give this as a schema. Schema is DBO, for example. I don't need this one, so I'm deleting it. Okay, so XYZ is a schema, one array, one file, right? Simple, we are able to see it. Container name, directory name, folder name for one file, one array, right? Now, the whole idea is to pass this variable. If I can pass this input file variable over here, over here, over here, if I can pass it, right? And iterate it 3 times. Iterate it 3 times. One time, one array, right? So input file, input container, input directory, output table, output schema. Sorry, schema. So yeah, it will run for this, it will run for this, then it will run for this, right? So I want to iterate it 3 times, right? Any doubt on this array, right, guys? If you have any doubt, please let me know. Okay, if not, let's move forward. So here, what I will do, I will copy paste it in one line, and then I will in the for each loop, I will go to, sorry, not in the for each loop, I will click over here, I will go to variables, and I will create a metadata variable here, and I will write array, and I will paste my array. Why I created a variable instead of parameter? Because in parameter we defined one value, but here we are passing 3 values. That is why we created a variable this time. Okay, because we are saying in this metadata equals to input file. So we are not defining only one value. Whenever you have one value, you will create a parameter. Whenever you have multiple value, you will create a variable, right? Simple. Now this for each. Now once you create a metadata, this for each should run from the metadata, right? Simple. So here we'll go to the items. We will select metadata here, not here, here, and then select this, right? Because we created a variable this time, right? So we'll go to the variable, select this. Once this is done, I will go to copy data activity, cut, paste it, cut, open it, paste it, right? Once we do that, I will open for each loop, and I will go to copy data activity. I will go to source, and now I will say you don't need variable, you need a for each loop, what I have passed in the for each loop. And from the for each loop, you need to take from the for each loop, you need to take input container variable in your place, right? So from the for each loop, you need to take this. Simple. Similarly, we'll go do it for others. So I have already passed the value to the for each loop. You need to take from the for each loop, and which value you need to take? You need to take the input directory. Now here also I will go. You need to take the value from the for each loop. Which value you need to take? You need to take the input file name. Similarly, I will go to sync, and here also I will define like that. Okay. So from the for each loop, you need to take which value? You need to take output schema value. And here also you need to go, you need to tell that from the for each loop, which value you need to take? You need to take put table name value, right? And once we do that, everything looks fine. First, we define the metadata like in the variable, then we define metadata over here in the setting. Then we open this, we defined those value over here. Now the parameter is not needed. This is not needed now, right? Any doubt till here, guys? If you have any doubt, please ask me. Very, very important topic. So it's very important you understand this.
We didn't create any
Sorry, come again.
parameter for that data set also inside the data set to fetch the schema name and table name.
Dataset in the dataset
Yeah,
parameter is
in
still there.
sync
I haven't removed it.
after opening that data. Okay. Yeah, this shouldn't be delete.
No, because this, so see how it is happening. This parameters is being passed here, and you are assigned the way you assigned the parameter values previously. You assigned it from the pipeline parameter. Right now you are assigning it from the for each parameter. That is the only difference,
Ah,
but the method is same, right? You
oh,
need to any, so in both of the cases you need to create a
here
parameterized
also we have
data
to
set.
change it.
So
Okay.
this value got changed, only this value.
Item dot.
Okay, only this value got changed. Previously you were doing like this. Previously you were doing like this. It was coming from the pipeline parameter,
Hmm.
but now
This
it is coming
we
from the
changed
for each loop.
manually, or it got automatically changed
We change manually. So if
manually.
here you go, you come here, and now we selected this from the for each loop. Now
Yeah,
we need
yeah,
to
okay.
change.
This I yeah.
Hmm.
Now I was saying like after opening that data set, there will be parameters, no?
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, those parameters is what I was asking. Yeah,
See,
here. Okay, here we won't pass any value. Okay,
we are not passing any values here.
okay,
Okay.
understood.
Okay. Now let's run this now. Now this value we don't need because we are not passing it anywhere. Done. It got copied. Now you can go here in the SQL and also see it. It got copied. Okay. So here you can see XYZ got created, right? Now, suppose I don't want to do this. Okay. I want to do something else. I want to remove this messy variable which we created. Okay. So how to remove this? So instead of passing from the uh, pipeline variable, I will pass it from the lookup activity now. So I will create an Excel file or CSV file, and I will pass the value from here. Okay. So here, instead of passing from here, I will say input file, input container, input directory, output table, schema. Okay, schema is DBO, DBO, DBO. Okay, table name is XYZ. Input file name is department1 CSV, department2 CSV, sample data.csv. Input container is input. Input directory is folder. Vinod, you were asking me a question, right? Here only you will define your database name. Sorry, database name. Here only you will define. Okay, here only you will define, just to answer your question. So here, instead of this, you can parameterize. So here, this will be parameterized. Yeah, so you will create a parameter, pass it here, try it out. So, but this will be parameterized. Okay. Okay, fine. So let's come here. We have done this, and now I'll save this CSV file. Done. Now I save it. I come here. I go to storage account. Open this. Input. Uploaded metadata. Now we'll use one more activity, which is lookup activity, right? Lookup activity. What this lookup activity will do? What is the purpose of lookup activity? Lookup activity will look up to a value or a data set. Okay, so here it will look up to Where where did it go? My copy data activity. Hmm, okay, it got deleted, I feel. Anyways, for each loop, copy data activity. Okay, so now we define the lookup activity. Okay, our metadata, this metadata variable which we defined, we will not use it now, right? We will use a lookup activity now. So here we will create one more data set in which we will use the lookup activity. Okay. Yeah, so I am just using the same data set. If you see, I am just passing the different value, right? Instead of, so here now in the lookup activity, I will refer to my new data, like new container name, directory name, right? So input container name metadata.csv. Container name is input. File name is metadata.csv. Okay. If you pass this, if you preview the data, okay, 1 second, something is, I'm not passing the value here. If I don't pass the value here, it will take or not. In this case, nothing is here. Okay, it's not taking. So yeah, so it's not taking the value probably. Yeah, so here let's define it directly. Okay, so here what I will do, I will select my metadata file because it's not taking my directly, it's not taking. So here I will define it directly. 1 second, guys. Sorry for confusion. Something is went wrong. Okay, fine. So here it's not taking the directory name. If it is a null directory, so it's not taking the directory name. So what I will do now, I will create a new data set in which I will define my metadata directly. Okay. Okay, fine. Let's preview the metadata. This is my metadata, so I want all the rows. So you don't need to select first row only because you want all the rows. Okay. Now in the for each loop, instead of passing it from the variable, now I will pass it from the lookup activity. Lookup value output dot value I need to find, right? Value. And I will tell you why I'm giving value here. I will tell you now, right? So let's debug this. Yeah, so this basically we don't need anyways. This we don't need any. If you pass as well, that doesn't matter because we are not using it anyway, right? So let's click OK. Why I have written value here, that I will describe you now. Guys, are you with me? Is it everything clear or it's too much for today? So here, why it's value? Let's open this. So lookup value output dot value, because this value only, if you see this value, this array only we defined previously, if you remember, right? The same array we defined previously. So lookup is also giving you this value in a different way. This only value we copied previously, right? If you remember, this same metadata we created previously. If I copy this only, then also my job is done, right? Because this was I was defining previously. So this and this is same. See, exactly same. Nothing, no difference. Okay, just a way of organizing things, right? Now this is running fine, right? So this is how you can run a lookup value for each loop and copy data activity. Now today's class is very, very important. Please practice it. Today we learned how to parameterize a data set, how to pass and how to run a for each loop, and then how to use a lookup activity. Then tomorrow we will build on this particular pipeline and we will complete the full load today. So tomorrow's class is very, very important. Um or let me complete it today only, that will be great. Okay, so I will complete it today. Give me some 10 minutes only. I will complete it today. One second. So now suppose instead of passing it from the lookup activity, mm, uh, okay, let's do like that. If I teach today, then it will be too much, I feel. So you practice this, and then what we need to parameterize, what we need to practice. We need to practice how to parameterize a data set, how to create a for each loop, and how to uh, pass it using lookup activity. Okay, these are the homework. Let me write the homework. Create a parameterize data set and copy the table from source to sink and source sink as data lake. Okay, as data lake. Now do the above as source equals to data lake and sink equals to SQL, which I have done. Okay, now create a for each loop, create a for each loop to copy file from data lake to data lake and data lake to SQL separately. Data lake to SQL. Okay, so data lake to SQL I have done. Okay, then do the above using lookup activity. Using lookup activity. So these are the homework, guys. Very important. Today's class, please practice it. Today's class is most important class which we had since the beginning. Okay, so please practice it. It's very important. So yeah, so let's meet tomorrow same time and then we will continue, right? So thank you so much guys for your time. Let's meet tomorrow. If you don't have any question, or else if you have any question, I'm still here, you can ask.
Abhishek, one question.
Yes.
So you told that in the end, while debugging that parameters, it's anyway not useful because is it because we are not calling that inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are not calling it anywhere. Okay. So you create 10 parameters here, but you're not using any your parameter anywhere, then it's not useful, right? So you can pass anything.
Okay.
You can delete it
So
as well.
this parameter will be pipeline dot container like that.
Yeah. So this parameter, if you are using it here, if you use it anywhere, it will be like this. So if you delete this, you'll understand it. This will be
Parameter.
yeah, like this pipeline dot parameter like this. Okay.
Okay.
One question to everyone. Are you guys okay if we start half an hour early tomorrow? All of you?
Yeah. Okay. I'm okay.
Works
Okay.
for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So let's start half an hour early. I will complete the for each loop and then we'll join with some other topics. Okay. So yeah, so let's meet tomorrow half an hour early probably. Okay. See you then. Thank you
Yeah,
so
just
much.
one more thing, Abhishek,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
So when you're starting tomorrow's class, you said like for three records we are doing this way. You said like you will explain like in case if you're having thousands of
Hmm.
rows in the metadata, so how efficiently we are going to process. Can you start up with that tomorrow? Possible?
If we have,
Or
can
is
you
this
come
the
again?
same way we are going to do? I have time. I have time. I have no problem.
No, no,
Like
no. Can you come again? I haven't understood your question.
Okay. So you said like so when you're creating a metadata, so you said like for three rows or three records of metadata, we are using this way. In
Hmm.
case if we have thousands of rows in the metadata table, like let's say like thousands of input files I need to
Hmm.
migrate.
Hmm.
So what would be the efficient way? Is this the only way like we can enter all the thousands of thousand
So there
files
are two
information
ways.
and process?
There are two ways. So first way is to enter this all the information for like
Mhm.
all the files, because ideally you want to know how to how to name it in the sync as well, because here you can define as well, right? So how to name it in the sync, everything you can define. So you need to define it for
Mhm.
thousands file, and in the Excel it is easy to maintain as well. I will also talk about how to maintain this metadata in SQL, which is a best practice to for the better maintenance. Right now, the other way of doing it, which we use in the migration, is to use a get metadata activity, which is here. Okay, in which no matter how many files are here, it will take all the file, but here you won't be able to limit down it. That's the problem.
Mhm.
So you can
Okay.
use this get metadata activity in that case, which will come going forward. But tomorrow's class we will
Okay. So the best way
understand
is
how to use
maintaining
this
the
only.
Excel, right?
Yeah, best way to
Okay.
maintain the Excel only, not for the migration, but for the specific requirement, how you want to move the file. But for the migration, you want to move all the file, right? So for that, you might use the get metadata activity.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, fine. So, okay, guys, so let's meet tomorrow, same time probably, right? Thank you so much. Bye.
Yep. Thank you.